Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and we have an awesome show for you. We're talking Starfield, we're talking Forza Motorsport, and what it is missing at launch. I don't think it's a big deal, but our professional racer known as Fuzzy Belvedere will be breaking all of that down for us. But more importantly, folks, a story came out over the weekend about Phil Spencer telling a specific dev, the dev that brought us Limbo and Inside, that I can make anything happen. What do you want? And that's where he gets it. That's where the name Phil Spender comes into the conversation. The question is that the new Xbox? And even more so, should it be? We're going to get into all of that, folks. And of course, Starfield marketing starting to ramp up. And there is a rumor that there's going to be a very large launch party. Again, no real specifics, but we're going to break all of that down. Big shout out to over 150 people already here, which is amazing. Let's get into the introductions. And Fuzz Belvedere, speaking of which, how you feeling, brother? You're going to break down all of this racing hubbub. And of course, well, the anti-Xbox community has come out and said, you see, no spectator mode, or come on. I mean, listen, the game is going to be dope. It's going to be one of the best races ever made. It's going to have ray tracing. It's going to have all the bells and whistles. Spectator mode, again, for me, I'm being selfish, folks, means nothing. Yeah. Split screen, I mean, come on, man. I'm sorry. It's just, it didn't work that well in Forza 7. I don't expect it to even be, I don't even know why they're bothering. The way the online is, the way everyone has multiple consoles in their home, I think split screen for some things is a waste here. I believe that way, but we'll break that down. How you feeling, Fuzzy?
Well, I'm doing great, and there's a lot of nonsense on the app formerly known as Twitter.
A lot of concern, trolls out in the interwebs,
and I have to question if they even play racing games, or is that are just hopping on a narrative that seems to have some traction at the moment. But yeah, we'll definitely get into all of that. But it's so great to be here with you guys this morning. Thanks to everybody in the chat for being here. Man, we're gonna have a good show today.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun. Again, we're gonna get into three topics, folks. Crazy Lou Gaming will be here. He is running behind, but sitting here, ready to rock and roll as he did on Sunday. Web Dave, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
I'm feeling really good, Boom. Thanks for having me on. I think Crazy Lou's probably trying to run from the law again.
I hope not. I hope he's not in jail, because that was a thing that actually happened, folks. But
oh goodness. Well, I'm ready for it, man. Let's get into it.
All right, so let's open up with Starfield, because listen, it's 17 days. Thanks to Sith Lord in the chat was like, "Hey, boom, 17 days." This is going to be. I mean, there are so many things to get excited about Starfield. I mean, it's through the roof excitement. It's number one on Steam on one of the most anticipated games. I have a strong suspicion, and again, this is just my opinion. We saw Baldur's Gate come out of absolutely nowhere, right? Baldur's Gate came out of absolutely nowhere, and they're almost concurrent. They almost broke their own record the other day when they had nearly 900,000 concurrent players. That is a big deal. Larian Studios, a team of 400, not relatively small, not relatively big to some other studios, but man, did they deliver. The reason why I bring them up is because of the Steam numbers. Now, it is a big deal. Steam is one of the largest platforms, and I have already suggested, and I was listening to the Xbox 2 podcast while I was doing some house chores today. And Randall Thor and Jez Corden have a mere $10 bet. I don't think it's enough there. I would have bid another $100 bet, but I'm with Randall Thor against Jez Corden on this one, where Rand seems to think that not only are there going to be more concurrent players on Steam for Starfield than Baldur's Gate 3, and again, it's not a Starfield versus Baldur's Gate 3. I'll take it even a step further, folks. I honestly, in my heart of hearts, believe that Starfield could have as many as 2+ million concurrent players within the first couple of days at launch. Now, some people may say, "Boom, you're insane for suggesting such a thing." but am I? Because marketing has been, I mean, I think it's safe to say, at a bit of an Achilles heel for Xbox first party. They don't know. I mean, sometimes they throw the muscle behind it and it makes no sense. Kind of like Redfall. Redfall had potato chips and Redfall had all these different things. You're like, had controllers and so much marketing, and the game didn't release that great, which is a bit shocking. And people were concerned, oh my God, Fuzzy, what are we going to do? There's no marketing again. Starfield is going to bomb. No one knows about this game. And then you just have to laugh because now they have chairs. I've seen it on the side of a bus. Everyone that I've gotten DMs in the last couple of days have been, hey, Boom, before I start your show, Starfield commercials up there. But listen, Fuzzy, and I dropped this into the DM. Apparently, there is a rumor that there's going to be a very big event by Microsoft. The question is who and how big of a deal this is going to be, and we're starting to hear some rumblings that it could be as big as the Halo 3 midnight launch. And I saw people putting up some videos on that. I was a part of the midnight launch because it happened to land on my birthday, 9/25, I think 2007, was it? And I got Mrs. Boom got me the console. I got the cat head helmet. I got all the controllers. The two controllers for the 360 were dope because they were designed by Todd McFarlane of McFarlane Comics. They all came with a little figurine in the package as well. It was one of those all hands on deck, bells and whistles event. My question to you is, what are your thoughts on the way the marketing is going? Because I seem to see almost every day, Fuzzy, on the socials that Starfield is trending, Xbox is trending, Bethesda is trending. What are your anticipations of this?
I find it funny that people are saying that they're not seeing the advertising. Like it started with the controller and the headset. We saw that like a month or so ago, and that's had its peak and it's kind of waved off a bit. But as of recently, we've seen the chair, a bit pricey, but still a cool chair, and that's something that people are talking about as far as, oh, I would love to have that chair, and
I'd love to try out that chair, but that chair's $1,000, bro. That's it's expensive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But there's also the video card or the graphics card and the CPU, which they're limited run. They're primarily geared for like a sweepstakes thing for like QuakeCon and Twitch and stuff like that. But that's kind of cool. And I'm pretty sure there are people up there trying to figure out how they can build like a Starfield, PC build, where I've seen some people make like custom cases and put like Starfield stickers or paint some Starfield like stripes and colors and things like that on it. So there is marketing out there. It's just, if you're not looking for it, you may miss it. Like if you're not the type that goes to the physical stores like Best Buy or like GameStop and things like that, you might not see the poster in the Xbox section, or you may not see the thing behind the register that's hanging up or anything along those lines. Like if you strictly have stuff shipping out from Amazon or you're digital only, you're going to miss those. If you're a YouTube premium customer, you're going to probably miss the commercials that start along a lot of videos that are video game related, whether it's a PlayStation channel or an Xbox channel. More times than not, because I'm not a premium member, I wind up I don't skip the Starfield ones because I like seeing them, but it's like there are some Starfield commercials in the gaming space as far as YouTube is concerned. But as far as if you're a premium member, yeah, you're not going to see those ads. So I could see how some people are saying, oh, I don't see enough ads about it. But it's like, if you're the type that doesn't see ads normally on YouTube, you're probably not, you're missing out on, especially the animation shorts that they did like a week ago or so. So there's advertising going on. There's the trailers that they play a lot on YouTube. I I have Netflix and I mainly watch Netflix, not as much Hulu, because I ever since they did that switcheroo where it was like no commercials, oh, limited commercials. All right, we're going to give you all the commercials for that $7 or $9 type of thing. I've kind of fallen off of Hulu a little bit, but there's commercials on a lot of platforms as far as streaming. Like I've seen it on Twitch already as far as for Starfield commercials. Like if you're getting ready to wait for like the Diablo, fireside chat, they don't get to pick the commercials. Amazon picks the commercials based on who paid them the most money. And
Yeah, there you
Starfield
go.
was the commercial I saw before that fireside chat. So there's commercials out there. There's advertising out there. It's not, I won't say it's a matter you have to look for it. You just have to be in the areas where it makes sense. Like I understand some people are like, well, why isn't it on the subway? Why isn't it on like a sporting event?
Yeah.
If you're watching football, are you really thinking about a video game that's not related to sports? Like, sure, you might see Spider-Man, but that covers a bigger audience as far as
Mhm.
it's a comic. So it makes a little more sense as far as a crossover. But like, there aren't that many sci-fi like events and things that aren't on like streaming services. So if Star Trek was still a broadcast show and things like that, I would expect to see like a Starfield commercial around something along those lines. But there's definitely advertising out there. They're getting ready to do their Gamescom show here in like a matter of a week or a
Yeah,
little.
we can change. Yeah, there could be a big something big announced there as well. Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah, because they're going to have a theater experience. So yeah, they don't have
Yes.
the demo, which people were crying about the other week, but they are going to show like an updated like trailer or something for those that are interested in the game. So that way, those that are attending Gamescom will have that buzz going as well. And like I said, you see people posting about, hey, do you think you'll be able to, be a space pirate and steal this and have your own fleet, or what if you
Yep.
go as like a ninja, a space ninja, and you're boarding all these ships and killing all people? There's just a whole bunch of things that people are talking about on social media as far as this game. So all of that, the word of mouth, I think that's the biggest thing as far as the advertising. And let's not forget, it's day and date and Game Pass. So
Yeah.
the minute you fire up that app, it's going to be right in your face as far as, hey, new to Game Pass. Hey, this is, it'll probably be most of the front page when you load up the app, come September 6th. But yeah, there's advertising. If you have your eyes open, you're going to at least see something somewhere. If you're totally in a shell where you don't go outside to electronic stores and things like that, or you only watch sporting events as far as streaming services, yeah, you're probably going to miss out. Or maybe if you're not, I mean, if you're doing the subway, if you're using the subway in like major cities and things like that, yeah, there might not be a Starfield train, but it's on YouTube, it's on Twitch, it's on
Yeah.
social media, it's everywhere. So
I mean, listen, the pushback for me, Fuzzy, is there was little to no marketing for Baldur's Gate 3. And
true.
I mean, it exploded on the scene, and everyone is pretty much talking about it. It is trending almost every day, very, very similar to Starfield. It is currently the most it's the number one pre-ordered game right now on PlayStation 5, which is fantastic for the PlayStation gamers that are going to be playing that instead of Starfield. And again, I'm going to be honest with you. Even if I was if I was a PlayStation only player, Starfield is so big and it's such a relevant conversation. It's so massive that I don't necessarily know, unless there's physically no way or financially no way you could be a part of the conversation. Because listen, consoles are expensive, and Microsoft does make it easier for players to play on PC, to play on X Cloud and things of that nature. I would figure out a way or find a way to get a Series S or even a Series X, or again, playing the big rigs that a lot of these PlayStation players claim that they have. But I so far appreciate the marketing that has been done. I think they don't necessarily have to do much, because this game has been in the zeitgeist of gamers for over a year. Like, obviously, the big delay, which was the right call, because this thing is going to release, and it's probably going to be one of the best released Bethesda games ever, maybe. I know that they're known for Bugthesda pretty much, but I think you're gonna. I mean, of course, there's gonna be a bugs. You can travel to 1,000 planets. There's something that's gonna happen, but I think this is probably gonna be the most polished, and I'm seeing it. Like I said, I'm a content creator, and I'm seeing the marketing here, there, and everywhere. So I'm incredibly satisfied with it. But Dave, I want to bring you into the conversation, but before I do, got to catch up on two super chats, both from Drawn TJ, generous friend of the program. The first one of $2. He says, "Hi guys, just patch modes in." I mean, that's what they're going to do for Forza, I would imagine. But like I said, we're gonna get into that because I think it's a whole lot of nothing. The modes that are missing, I think that are so random, and I think yes, people do use them, sure, but I'm sure that they were they checked the numbers and said, okay, listen, this game is we're doing things we've never done before. It is a new engine. We can't get to everything. What needs to come back at another time. These couple of modes, I think, are, and again, I'm speaking for me, so please don't get offended. I find them to be incredibly irrelevant. That's me. That I'm being a selfish gamer now. I think the modes are too small of a demographic to give a flying F. That's just me. And if they come at a later date, so be it. But we will get into it. And again, that's just me being a greedy gamer. Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, a Doom planet, a Halo planet, World of Warcraft planet, mods in Starfield that I want, and a 2-player co-op mode modded in. I think the 2-player co-op mode would break the game. I don't want to play that game with 2 players. I would not play it with anyone, to be honest with you. I want to experience my story in a Bethesda. There are some games that don't need co-op. Things like Fallout 4, like no need for co-op. Skyrim. I mean, if co-op's your thing, okay, but not for me. Starfield, no, I don't want anybody in my game. I want to steal my my own sandwiches by myself. I don't want to be bothered with anybody else. And again, that's me being a greedy gamer. But yeah, I mean, will they figure out a way? I'm certain the modding community, especially for Bethesda games, are so talented. It's bananas. But Dave, let's bring you into the conversation now.
Mm-hmm.
We have a tweet here. His name is Kareem Jovian. Now, I don't know who he is. I'm just following him now. Let me give you his bio. Apparently, he's very popular because he's being followed by damn near 65,000 people. And according to his bio on Twitter, he's a digital media producer and interviewer. What that means, I don't know. But according to Kareem, he said this: just got word from a confidential source that Microsoft will be holding an interactive launch at a launch event for Starfield. Let's just say they were really excited when talking to me about it. So who's he talking to? I have no idea. Is this a real leak? I have no idea, but it certainly is fun conversation. Listen, Dave, Starfield might be the biggest game of the year. And again, I take nothing away from Spider-Man or Mario Wonder or even Baldur's Gate 3. I know some people, like even Randolph Thor, was like, yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 game of the year. I can't say that for certain because I have to play Starfield, but if the Starfield is everything that I saw on that stream in June, this is going to be my game of the year. I think it's going to be a lot of people's game of the year. It's a Bethesda joint, and people really like Bethesda games. And this is Todd Howard's swan song potentially, right? We don't know how long he's going to be in the development community. We know he's working on Indiana Jones. I think we got him at least until Skyrim launches, or then the Elder Scrolls launches. But who knows? I mean, you just never know. People want to enjoy retirement. He's working in the industry a long time, and if this game hits, Dave, like I think it's going to hit, who knows? Man, you go out with a bang. Let's get your take on the marketing, because it's been a concern. Again, whether it's a real concern or it's just trolls being trolls, I've seen it everywhere, and everyone that I talk to, and again, I have over 12,000 followers, which is kind of crazy. But if I look at my timeline, it's people talking about what they're going to do in Starfield. They don't even have the game yet. They're taking pictures of the controller. They're taking pictures of the headset. They're taking the pictures of hey, I tried to like Paris Lily, great friend of the community. Would love to sit down with him, maybe have him on one day. He did a screenshot of him trying to launch Starfield, and that you couldn't hurt a guy for trying. And I thought that was hilarious, because could you imagine if it started? I mean, that would be crazy. But let's get your take on the marketing. Is there enough marketing for what potentially might be one of the biggest releases of 2023?
So much to unpack there, Boom. So much to unpack. But
unpack away, brother. This is a conversational podcast.
I'm so ready to get into this. First of all, Justice Bolt in the chat is delusional, saying that a one and done.
Now, let me see what it is. Justice Bolt. I got to say, everyone's welcome here, but dude, sometimes you put your foot in it, as they say, and I get it. You're a PlayStation fan, dude. You're welcome to hang out here. Some of the stuff I got to see what he's saying. I know he was going to town on Friday, and
so saying that Spider-Man is going to outsell Starfield.
It's not going to happen.
That's
dude.
delusional.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a one and done. Starfield will be able to be played forever.
Listen, Spider-Man is going to be great, and it's probably going to sell like 5 million copies in the first week. There's just no doubt. It's Spider-Man. He is the most recognizable character in the world. There's no doubt about it. But here is the problem, dude. Okay. One, people have to go to the store or actually go into their digital wallets and buy the game for $70, right? Now, I'm not saying the game isn't worth $70. What I'm saying is that people, meaning PlayStation players, has been a proven fact, sell to about 10%. So let's be generous here. Let's just say, for instance, that the 40 million consoles out there that been confirmed by Sony, they sell to 20% of the populace, which is pretty high, right?
Yep.
It's not going to outsell. It's just not going to outsell Starfield. People are buying it. I mean, I put on a Game Pass for my subscription. I bought it. I bought the collector's edition. You know how many of those collector's editions sold? Millions. So just on that, I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying.
His argument was that there's 40 million PlayStation systems available. It's like, yeah, but nowhere near that amount of people are going to play Spider-Man. Sorry, it's
on the average, Sony players in the percentile conversation, 10% of the populace buy first-party games, and we know that because Jim Ryan told you to your face publicly that you, kind sir, are not enough. Now, unless you're going to buy 1 million copies by yourself, good luck with that. It's going to sell, but it's not going to. First of all, I'm going to tell you this right now, and I'll get on my soapbox. Spider-Man will not be in the conversation for Game of the Year. I am telling you right now. It is already a loaded deck. Spider-Man doesn't have a chance in hell. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a fantastic story being told in a new way from Insomniac, which is what they know how to do, and I'm very excited for it. But it's not, regardless, it is. Sony has become, and please, Sony fans, don't get offended by this, okay? What Sony PlayStation first party has become is Horizon, God of War, and Spider-Man, and I recall many times being told that it's only Gears, Halo, and Forza, and that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that, let's see some other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going to say. Spider-Man's going to sell well, but it's not going to outduel, and I'm certainly believe it's not going to outscore Starfield. But please continue, Dave.
Sorry about that. So back to the question about Starfield and its advertising and such. You can even PlayStation owners that if you have a phone, you have a tablet, if you even have a Chromebook, you can access Game Pass and a couple of months play it, and then you'll enjoy it, and you'll say you've enjoyed probably the greatest game ever made. That's something that anybody can do. So it is accessible to people that don't want to invest in the ecosystem as far as buying a console and stuff. It's still available easily, and that's one of the things that Microsoft makes available that a lot of the other gaming companies don't. Also, we were fortunate enough last night on my show to have Gaming Forte. Gaming Forte is a longtime manager for GameStop, which
Yes,
I
he
used to
is.
be, and was nice enough to inform us that yesterday, being Sunday, GameStop stores around the country got a huge marketing drop, but they always put out on Sundays, and this one included a large selection of Starfield marketing
Yeah.
for the stores, and there's more coming, a lot more coming from what he's been told. So it's going to get advertised everywhere. Anybody that thinks that there's not enough advertising for Starfield has no clue what's coming in the next couple of weeks. They have no idea. And not only that, but it's going to be from when the game comes out all the way through the holiday system, because Game Pass Starfield is going to be the big boost for that, for Game Pass. It is available on a budget, and it's just going to be absolutely everywhere. I mean, everywhere. People have no idea what's coming their way, and they will see. And they'll, of course, they'll try and play it, downplay it. Oh, it's just sorry, folks. You're not going to be able to hide from this one. You're not going to be able to hide from Starfield advertising, because it's going to be everywhere. And I've heard also about that show you were talking about, the launch party show. I believe that probably is true. I'm sure we'll probably hear more about it with Jazz and Randall on their show on Friday. I have a feeling
Eventually. Yeah.
that Jazz is already in the loop on that. He kind of hinted at something like that on the last show, so but didn't actually go into detail. But probably he couldn't. But yeah, as it's starting to leak out, I would definitely listen to him on that, because it's gonna be big, man. This is gonna be everywhere, and it is a huge game. There's so much in this game that
Dude,
can
I'm
be
so
done,
freaking excited, man.
that you can just be hours and hours just building your ship, hours and hours just exploring and going, just so much that you can do. You can go great through the storyline, or you can just branch off and just have yourself a good old time.
Oh,
And
I'm
it's
gonna
gonna be great,
just
man.
it's good. It's gonna be amazing, and you're right. He did hint at that, meaning Jez Corden, that there is something in the works. We don't know what it is. I could imagine there's gonna be some sort of a big push. I don't know when review codes are coming out. I'm gonna be honest with you. I applied for it. I don't know if the channel's big enough to get one. I mean, you had to, and we'll see. We'll see. It would be pretty dope to be able to review it. It's going to be a review in progress, because
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to spend.
But Boom, I'll tell you this. There are definitely some, let's say, major publications and online. I mean, bigger ones, not like me, not like you, which are big, but what I mean, like really big publications that have actually had the game for several months, so that they could and sign explicit NDAs,
Yeah, yeah.
so that
I
they
would
would be able
imagine
to
that those,
cover it.
yeah, those folks are someone like a Skill Up. I would imagine has it. I would imagine that an ACG would have it. Um,
Or
These
Windows
are
Central.
monster channels, like monster YouTube
Hmm.
channels. ACG's just broke 1 million a couple of months ago, which congratulations to him. ACG's like legit.
Hmm.
And well, I mean, what could you say about Skill? He's dope. So I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, we'll see.
Yep.
If listen, I'm gonna play it early because I got the $300 edition. So
Me too.
I don't care. I'm playing it early. Um, but listen, if you're worried about Starfield, I have a message here from Highlander Double One that kind of really does put the icing on this cake. He says he's been a channel. First of all, he's been a channel member for 14 months. So Highlander Double One, thank you for the generosity. He says, does Microsoft really need to do more for advertising of Starfield. All I see on YouTube and Twitter is Starfield. It's all the people are talking about, and he is not wrong. I think I have at least one Starfield thumbnail per week now as we're rolling, because there's always something popping up new. Listen, it is going to be a big game. Is it going to be the biggest game? Well, that remains to be seen. I will say that it does have a very, very steep competition this year. I mean, you have Baldur's Gate 3. That's probably going to be a part of the conversation. There's several Game of the Year nominees. I think Zelda's going to get the nod. I think even with the controversy that came behind Hogwarts, that's going to get a nod. Starfield is definitely going to get a nod, along with Baldur's Gate. So we'll see. All right, I'm going to hand the mic over to you, Fuzzy Belvedere. Please take it away with the controversy behind Forza.
Okay. Yeah, but when it comes to the recent Forza Monthly, they announced a lot of cool features that they're going to have, added into the multiplayer. Whether it's the spec races or the open races, they went into good details as far as what to expect in comparison to previous online. They're also going to implement a safety and driver points rating system, so that way, drivers that are all about playing bumper cars and running you off the track will be pretty much grouped in with other drivers that do the same, while those that try to do clean races will be with other clean drivers. So they're going to step up their game as far as making it a better, more competitive online experience. But there were some things that they made mention, which I kind of wish that they had kept silent, and I'll get into further details why. Some of the features that they made mention won't be there at launch. Some haven't been in the series in at least one or two titles, and some of the others were lackluster in those previous titles. So I'll start off with the split screen, which we know there's a lot of people that still do couch co-op. And given how things are, especially if you're going to play a more competitive sim racing type of game, split screen is not the best way to experience that against like another player. Like I understand not everybody can have two consoles in the house, and they may want to race against their kids, or race against their siblings or something along those lines, or race against their spouse. But when it comes to split screen, the way Forza has done it, at least with like 6 and 7, it was always split horizontally, which is great for left and right visibility. But the drawback then becomes that your visibility down the track is kind of squished. So when you're trying to, get that perfect line, hit the apex in that upcoming turn, and then, rotate out so that way you can get the most momentum out of the next turn, you're not really seeing that next turn like you would in a more like a vertical split screen. Now, once again, you get the advantage of left to right visibility, but the down the track visibility is probably more key unless the other split screen player is intentionally trying to wreck you. That's the only time that the left and right visibility really becomes not really an advantage, but a necessity. But as someone that's played with his kids on the split screen for Motorsport 7, I have to say, my honest opinion is that it sucks. I understand there's probably a good number of people that enjoyed that, but if the resources and features can be divvied up in a way where split screen versus, like, let's say, better AI or ray tracing on track, I think a more of a majority would rather go that route. Like when it comes to racing, not many titles, and you can't even do this in Horizon, and this has been the case for like almost forever. So split screen in a racing game just isn't it. And I know that there will be some people out there that'll be like, well, GT7 does it. If anyone's ever played GT7 split screen, which by the way is vertical, um, it's not really playing split screen in the sense that whoever the second player is hindered. They will automatically have all the assists, which can't be adjusted. Now, the one advantage is if they don't have their own car collection, they can use the first player's car collection. Great. But even if they pick a faster car or a better car from that person's collection, they're never going to beat the actual first player, unless the first player is intentionally letting them win, because the car is always going to break before you get to the turn. The car is always going to do the traction control, so you don't have as much momentum coming out of the turn. The small wheel spin that you get sometimes, but you still have the momentum coming out of the turn. That's all, killed, because the traction control actively will hinder that, and you'll either almost come to a stop, or it will slow you down so dramatically that even if the person is drifting out of the turn, they're going to wind up passing you. So as someone that's played the split screen, even in GT Sport and stuff like that, it's not it's not the W that PlayStation cats may think it is in comparison, having that, because like I said, if they've played it, they'll know it would be better not to have it, because it's more of a hindrance than a help. They could probably put those resources into more modes or more tracks or more cars, which we'll get into that in a little bit later. But
I love what you're putting down. I mean, obviously priority.
Mhm.
What do we want? Do we want 4K 60?
Yeah.
Do we want ray tracing? Do
Yeah.
we want X amount of cars on screen? The answer is yes, I do. Split screen. I think that this. And again, please correct me if I'm wrong here, Fuzzy. Because if anyone would know about racing, it's Fuzzy. I think that they look at the numbers.
Yeah.
How many people actually use split screen? It's probably in the single percentile, because it's a racing game. It's not Fortnite. It's a sim racer on top of that. So it's even more niche.
Like, you would
There's
think it
one
would be
mode
something that they
you
would put in like Forza Horizon, and they haven't had that in Forza Horizon, at least any of the ones that I can remember. So there's a
I don't
reason
remember.
why
Yeah.
it's not present. So that's the one thing. It's not worth a delay. It's not worth even
Yeah.
fussing about. Could they do it down the road? Sure, but I wouldn't hold my breath for it. And in all honesty, it'd probably be for the best, because there's much bigger things that they're working on as far as putting into that game. But there were two other things that I know some people use, that one of them I don't really care for, but it makes sense for like esports and stuff. And that was the spectate mode. Spectate mode is basically like, if you want to run a league or you want to be a streamer but have your race show like it's a broadcast, that's where
Right.
spectate mode comes in handy. Which, if they want to appeal to esports players or attract more of that crowd, it would make sense to have that feature, which I'm hearing whispering in the background that there is something in the works. It's just that they won't be ready at launch. So they will work on having something for spectate. It's just that it won't be at launch. And to be frank, it's not worth the delay to have
I
that at
agree.
launch. Now, the last one is the one that I kind of am disappointed in, but it's a very unique use case. So, adding AI into a private multiplayer is something that made sense for me when split screen. When I found out that wasn't it, and plus it's just the two cars on track. If I'm going to race with my sons, and I have two sons, and now I'm fortunate enough that they all have their own Xbox, and I have my Xbox and whatnot, but I don't want to just race against three cars on track. So having it where you could fill the field with AI makes it feel a little bit more like an immersive race, because otherwise it's just us. And if dad winds up blowing them out at the start, and I used to, although they've gotten much better since then, but when they were a lot younger, it'd be like, all right, I'm going to slow down a bit so they can kind of catch up. So it makes it more fun. But when you have more of the AI, they could actually draft off the AI to catch up to me if that's the case, type of thing. So I kind of miss them having that, especially after the updates that they've done to the AI. But I can understand it not being a priority at launch. And if they can find a way to get that incorporated later, I'll be that much happier for it. But those three features, to be honest, a lot of people that I've seen complaining about it, with the exception of maybe the esports crowd, for the spectate mode, most of them aren't playing those modes or aren't playing even a racing game to realize the ramifications that these things are involving. Like, I'm one of those few people that want the AI in the field, because like I said, it's a better experience when you have 24 cars on track as opposed to just three. Or if you're like a group of friends, let's say you only have 10 friends and you don't want to race with random people online, you could put the other 14 cars as AI cars and things like that. So it has its purpose, but as far as the grand scheme of things, this game is so much bigger as far as the updates they've done to the career mode, the updates they've done to multiplayer, which I wish they would have just focused more so on like track limits. Like they talked about updating track limits, and what that is basically the pavement, and then you have the curbside, and then you have the grass or gravel and things like that on the outskirts. Now in 7, it was very strict. A tire off the pavement onto the curbing in some spots would actually get you penalized, or it'd be listed as a dirty lap, where it wouldn't count towards either qualifying, or wouldn't count towards like a leaderboard or something like that. But now they've made it where the track limits are more realistic. So when you allow the car to kind of carry that momentum out to the curb, or carry that momentum a little bit where you may dip part of your tire on the grass, and you're not like intentionally trying to shortcut the track, you can actually still have that count. Or you could do the skip lap if you want to go for, only on pavement runs or something like that. But having the curbside track limits extended is probably a bigger get, or a bigger news story than the things that, like I said, the AI filling the field, that wasn't in 7 at all. And the same thing with like the spectate mode. I don't think it was in 7 unless you were doing like some of the sanctioned events or something like that. But then, like they said, you were taking up a spot for one of the racers at that moment. So they got to figure out something different for that. But that one feature where the AI was added to the field, if they hadn't said anything, I don't think anybody would have missed it, because it wasn't in 7. So anybody that's played 7 and was looking forward to the new one would be like, oh, well, they didn't have it in the other one. Why would they have it in the newer one? But once again, I wouldn't say it's a big nothing burger, because there are some that, like I said, that like that spectate mode and stuff like that. But in the bigger picture of things, these are things that can be added later. And I know there's a lot of people who are like, well, drifting isn't in there, and drag racing won't be there at launch. Well, drag racing really wasn't as big of a thing at the launch of 7, and they've had a couple of iterations of it, where towards the end of the life cycle of 7, they actually were doing a few experimental things to help reduce the run, not really run time, but like you would run a drag race, and then it would be like 5 minutes later before you can run another one. And they tried to get that narrowed down to like 30 seconds. So it's almost like when you're at a real track, you run down the drag strip, you go around on the side road, come back, and then get back in line. And it was a much more a speedier experience and more enjoyable experience. And I think they're going to try to do something similar, and hopefully put more emphasis on some of the parts in relation to drag racing: wider tires, tub wheel wells, wheelie bars, the whole nine. Things that they didn't put as much effort into with 7. This go around, I think they will. So that's why it's probably best to not have it at launch. Same thing with drifting. Drifting originally was not a big thing in Forza. And as that community grew, they've added more things and made more modes. So I think the best way is to, like, if you're still into drifting, you can probably still do it at like some of the tracks. It's just that it won't count to like drift points or leaderboards. And when they actually get all the drift stuff in there, because keep in mind, drift tires and drift suspension will be in the game. It's just that there won't be events or modes specifically geared towards it. So there's a lot going on, but the recent outrage on this is,
It's
I wouldn't say disingenuous,
narrative.
but it's not. I would say if you want to complain about something, complain about the track list. That's where I'm kind of probably more argumentative on, just because it's 20 tracks compared to 5 started off with 17 tracks. I think 6 started off with 28 tracks, and 7 started with like 32 tracks and ended its life cycle with 37 tracks. So,
okay.
oh wait, actually, I might have those numbers off, but it's something along those lines where there's a lot of tracks that aren't going to make the cut at launch, but they're going to keep on adding stuff. So that's where it kind of progresses from there.
I mean, listen, again, this is a big game. There's no doubt about it. The 3 missing aspects, what I saw is a lot of people doing a lot of almost nothing. Spectator mode, again, there's nothing for me. Split screen, there's absolutely nothing for me. But I'm speaking for myself. And in regards to not having the AI being able to be put into the multiplayer where it's just you and your buddies, I just think that these are particular modes that aren't used as often. And I think that when you consider how big this game is actually going to be and what it's going to actually look like. This is going to be the most detailed racer probably in the history of racing games as a whole. For it to have the 4K, for it to have the ray tracing, 60 frames, all the bells and whistles, I think that they took a priority, and I think it's the right call. These three modes that and again, you Fuzz brings up a good point. There's only, you said what, only 20 tracks at launch, as opposed to some other ones that were upwards of 30. I mean, is that a big miss? I don't know, because these tracks are detailed.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a gas game where they're gonna have you buying the tracks. They're gonna just add the tracks when they're ready to rock and roll. Hey, listen, we just added Daytona or whatever, and you're gonna be able to it's gonna be updated. So I think that what we're starting to see, especially with Microsoft starting to, they're changing the narrative. It's a slow go, but they're changing the narrative not only with the people in the community, with social media and like the gaming media as well. And you're going to start to see a change. It's going to take a long time for that change to happen, but I see big things happening for Xbox. And like I said, if you are one of these rah guys out there pointing the finger at Forza Motorsport, you probably should point your finger first at Sony releasing that thing of a game called Gran Turismo 7, which was broken at launch. I saw many videos. You can go look them up. People barrel rolling and winning the race. Like literally the car is flipping through the finish line and it's like first place. I'm like, come on, stop it. That's ridiculous.
So I don't rock in a row and they fly off the screen.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
That was pretty
Dave,
bad.
let's get your hot take on this, because obviously we got Crazy Lou who's joining us now. He just got here. Crazy Lou, welcome back there, brother. How's everything?
Oh, everything is good. It's good. And I'm happy that I'm jumping right on time, especially on this subject, because I got a lot of things to say too.
Excellent. Yeah, we're gonna come to you in a second, Dave. Let's get your hot take on this, because if there's one thing that we have noticed, and this isn't recent, folks, if you are an Xbox fan, you know that there are false narratives by the media. There are false narratives by the gaming community. There are so-called Xbox fans that are just that, so-called Xbox fans that want to, really concern troll for Xbox and their games, and they're so concerned about them selling, and oh my God, how they're going to make a profit. These are three features that, yes, is there a subset of people that use them? I'm sure that there are. That's why they have them. But the question is it that big of a deal for you personally, just looking at the playing field, that these three particular modes that would be considered niche by many, being not available at launch, but potentially getting patched in there as these games as a service do? What are your thoughts, man?
Okay. First thing I want to throw out is that GTA 7 was broken.
You're talking about Gran Turismo.
Sorry, GT 7 was broken at launch. And
yes, it was.
If you say it wasn't, then you didn't play the game, or you have no idea what you're talking about, and you're not a gamer. So just some
FYI.
Chat. Exactly. And we know, because we've seen the videos, we've seen people to play. We have friends that play the game, and they were like, this is a mess. And it took them a little while to get fixed. So if you, like I said, you say it's wrong, you're not right. Anyway, so one thing that gaming, we all know about games being made when they come up with a new idea. Hi, Boom. When they come up with a new idea, when they come up with a new idea for a game, they have a list of what they want in the game. And they get to a certain point where they're like, is a game, in the works? That is it going to go? Are we going to pull it and go on to something else? And if it gets the green light to go, they still have a list, and they're working on by a set release date of when they want. This is every single game made has a list of features and or boss levels or certain elements in the game that they want to include. And if they can't meet those, a lot of times, and just about every game has something that either gets pulled or skipped or set to be added later, but they don't talk about it. I think that was the biggest mistake they made, was like the Fuzzy said, it's like a lot of these things were like they weren't in the last game or they weren't that important to the game. If it had been released without it, you may have somebody ask, where's split screen, and then they could have said, oh, well, we're going to add that in a later update. It's something we're tweaking, working on. We're making it the best it can be, and we'll add it later. And that's all they had to say, and it would have been fine. They almost shot themselves in the foot by calling some things out that really just didn't need to be called out. And that's the way I look at it. It's a non-story, to be honest with you. When it comes down to it, this game is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be amazing, but it gives some of the fanboys something to grab onto, and they're going to run with it because they don't get Starfield. Sorry, guys.
I mean, that's the thing, Dave. I think you're definitely onto something. There is potentially some hate trolling, if you will, because a specific gamer who only games on PlayStation is not going to be able to play Starfield. But you know what? You could look at it one of two ways. One, you can join the platform, which you get your money's worth for sure because of Xbox Game Pass. Or two, and this is the better choice if you're a PlayStation only gamer, go buy Baldur's Gate 3 because it's launching the same day. And listen, I'm going to play it when it comes to Xbox. I'm not a CRPG guy, so I don't know how much of it I'm going to play. But don't get me wrong, I got some FOMO there because I'm seeing. Yes, sir.
What was good? Kay Asante last night in our chat, he had said that he feel like that a lot of PlayStation 5 owners that buy Baldur's Gate are going to have a buyer's remorse.
Oh, they're hate buying it
after they figure out what the game is actually like. That like literally, it's everything you do. You roll the dice in the game. I mean, it's great if you're a D&D fan, but most people casual gamers aren't into that or not expecting that. And when they see that, they're gonna be like, "What's going on?" There's a scene online, a clear one of a squirrel attacks a guy's foot, and it's like, and you have to roll to see if what the squirrel does, and he like, oh, the squirrel bites you. Then you roll again to see what do you do to it. He kicks him across the screen. What? I mean,
that's true. Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy.
Red Monkey Butt in the chat says Baldur's Gate 3 is hardcore PC stuff, and he's not wrong. It is. I know I'm not going to like it, which is why I didn't go buy it. Well, first of all, I don't have a PC that could run it. That's number one. Number two, I could buy it for the PlayStation 5, but I just listen, folks. After Starfield, that's why I'm like kind of just like anyone treading water in gaming right now, like this, just waiting for Starfield because that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of treading water. I just rolled credits on Dead Island yesterday.
Nice.
Man, my God, what a great game! And I'm trying to get a couple of 100-point achievements by doing side mission stuff. I didn't miss many. I missed a few. So I'm back in it, and I got some legendary weapons now, which are just beast mode.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Let me just reel this back in because I can go on a tangent about Starfield, and we did a little bit. But Crazy Lou Gaming, I want to get your hot take on this because, again, not a lot of people are talking about it, but there are some. I did see a couple of circles, running the narrative about Forza being, oh, it's not, see, you're missing content. This is Halo Infinite all over again. It is not Halo Infinite by a country mile. Let's get your hot take on it. 3 features. They're small. They are features. They will eventually come to Forza Motorsport. Spectator mode. And obviously thanks to Fuzzy's professionalism, we understand that mode is specifically used for streamers more so than someone is gonna raise your hands in the chat if you're gonna sit there, put your control to the side and watch the game. I don't know so much about that. Split screen, not that big of a deal, to be honest with you. It is for some, but I just don't think it's a big deal. And having AI added to your private server with, like, let's say, for instance, you're playing multiplayer with your buddies. Instead of 3 cars on the track, you can have 20 cars because the other 17 are controlled by the AI. Does any of these things actually hit for you?
here's my take on this, because when I saw this, I went a little bit on a Twitter rant about it, and I literally said, why don't they just delay the game a little bit longer? And when I mentioned that, a lot of people just came at me, and I was like, wait, hear me out though, hear me out, because let's be honest, they're missing some key features, right? Even though a lot of people say, hey, they're small features, but hey, in July, a lot of people forgot that in July they mentioned they are missing drag mode and drift mode that will not be coming out at launch, right? And so here's my thing. We're literally like 2 months left to the game.
Yeah, it comes out
right?
in October.
It comes out in October, right? Okay. A month after Starfield. Plus, we got so many games in there that are coming in, you know, that we're gonna be enjoying besides Starfield. But I know all of us are gonna be jumping into Starfield. I mean, we're not gonna be paying anything else but Starfield, right? So if I was them, you know, if you're having, you know, these, they could be like small features or big features, but either way though, I would just delay the game a little bit, let's say to January. That would be a good time to launch it, since you got Starfield right there, and launch your game right there instead of releasing this game with these features not being there. I mean, that's what I would have done. And I did go out and say this, and a lot of people were like, well, why are you saying this? You know, if the core game is there, it's cool. No, man, it's not cool, because you got people paying $70 for this thing, right? And I'm not attacking Microsoft or attacking on how they are working, right? I'm not attacking nothing like that. I'm just saying, hey guys, if you're missing a couple things, I mean, there could be more stuff along the way that could happen when you guys launch. It can't come out broken. It can't come out messy. We don't know that for a fact yet till it comes out. But we are noticing you're missing a couple things. Hey, just delay the game a couple months so you can actually get everything worked up and fixed. And hey, release it in January. It's a good time to release it. It's a good time to start the year nice and fresh with a great game, especially, you know, since Starfield is there. Starfield is a huge game. It's great for you. It will be a good start, you know, to the year. For me, that's how I see it. And yeah, I want them to work. I want them to give me the game 100% great. I don't want it to give me, oh, let's give it to you 70% good, you know, leave a 30% out there, and then later on, you know, we'll be adding stuff and let's put this in here. No. Give it to me 100%, because I want to see your work, you know, nice and neat, and for what I pay for it. I know a lot of people will be saying, hey, but there's Game Pass. Yeah, of course there's Game Pass. But then you got a lot of people that don't use Game Pass that actually do buy the game, do buy a copy of the game. And seeing this will be like, hey, let me pull back because they're not giving me features. But I see guys say, you know, Gran Turismo came out at launch broken.
Gran Turismo was a mess, and it wasn't a mess. It wasn't a mess for a couple of weeks. It was a mess for months. As a matter of fact, I think Fuzzy could back me up here. There are still key features missing.
Exactly. So why release this game again, and we can have the same issues? You know, just wait a little while, and that's what
I got to push back on you there, brother. I hear what you're saying, but the modes that you are implying do not equate to a delay. You're talking about modes that single-digit people use that are going to get into the game. I don't think that's you delay a game for drag racing, because I just don't. I just
you do more harm to the brand if you delay, because that just adds that stigma to Microsoft that they're delaying again, or they don't have no games. All that's all it would do, and they have a perfectly great game ready to go with the features that are available, and that's what they should release and continue to work on the other. Sorry.
Oh, but here's the thing, though, Mr. Dave. I mean, you already got Starfield right there, which is going to be the biggest.
It doesn't matter, Louis. Starfield's not for everybody.
Oh, I understand that. I totally understand that. But hey, I'm just saying that.
No. We appreciate the opinion. I'm glad that we have different thoughts on it. 100%.
Yeah, because really, if you're going to give a game out like this, you know, we don't know what's left there. That there could be issues. You know, I'm just saying there could be along the way, because we still don't know. Because either way, last month we had that we don't have these modes. Now we don't have this, right? And you're literally 2 months away, even though there's small features, as you guys say. But hey, it could mean something along the way. You know, we don't know until the game launches if it's going to be perfectly fine, if it's going to have a bunch of it. We don't know that till the game launches. So instead of me having the game that launches, you know, coming out broken because we don't know that yet, I'd rather you guys say, hey, okay, let me just a couple months fix everything up and boom, let's launch it.
Yeah, but you got to think that Microsoft feels confident enough in what they
Yeah.
do have available that they are ready to launch.
I
I
hope so.
I
I'm
think it's
crossing
going to be
fingers.
fine.
I'm crossing fingers that
Cool.
everything comes out right, because at the end of the day, hey, I wanted to come out with the game, perfectly fine. I'm not trying to be, negative Nancy or anything. I just
Are
wanted
you
to be,
sure?
I'm being positive. I want to be positive with this, but because I don't want to see a whole Redfall situation, because hey, that Redfall game was really, really, we saw that it was a big headache, and we don't want that to happen to these guys again. I want them to deliver nice and neat, this game in a perfectly good state, so we can all enjoy it and all have fun. So if it's gonna give them issues at the end of the day, I would say, oh, let's give it a 3 more months delay. Oh, Microsoft this, no worries. As long as you guys deliver a great game, I'm happy with that. And that's how I see things.
I mean, the best one to ask is Fuzzy. Now, Fuzzy, they have their Forza monthly, right?
Mhm.
They're constantly updating the fans of what they're doing, how they're doing it, what exactly they're doing with it. From your perspective, is there room to be concerned that outside of these particular modes that are not going to be available at launch, that we should be concerned or worried, or whatever, regarding the release of Forza Motorsport? Because remember, this game has been in development for, I think, well over 5 years.
Yeah, I would say there isn't really a need for concern. Like, the biggest thing is, if you've played, I would say like me, I've started at Motorsport 5, so everything from the Xbox generation moving forward, this kind of goes in line as far as like the drifting and the drag racing, not having it fully functional at launch. Because before, the way those modes used to work was that you would go to the test track with your friends, do like a private lobby, and just do the drifting there, or do the drag racing there, where it wasn't something that counted as far as experience points, or money, or anything like that as far as credits within the game. It was just for fun. So you can still do that, because a lot of the components from the previous games, like trying to be able to do the same setups with drag tires or drift suspension, all of those will still be in the game. It's just that the mode won't give you XP or rewards as far as credits for completing it, or when you compete against like your friends and stuff. So I think what they're looking to do is get feedback as they go, like to make sure that the handling models for both drifting and drag racing work to people's liking before they start having XP and credits be, issued out for those modes. And like I said with drag racing earlier, drag racing used to be kind of a chore. Like, if you've ever really taken a car to the drag strip, you're usually like, you might on a Saturday night, you might be waiting a few minutes in the line, but once you go down the strip, you come back and then you get back in line. The way it worked with Motorsport 7 before they did that experimental add-on or the update, it was like at least 5 to 10 minutes before you could do the next drag run, which
Whoa.
in a video game standpoint, nobody wants to sit there and wait to, like, if there's 5 friends that want to drag race against each other, nobody wants to wait 5 minutes in between those. So what they got it down to was like around 30 seconds, where you would do the run, it would show your winnings. All right, you're back at the line again to start the race. So it shortened things up more, like not necessarily like reality, because like I said, in Saturday night you might be in that line for some time depending on how many people are at the track, but it made it so much more reasonable for you to play that for, like, let's say a 15-minute stint and get more than 10 runs down the track, as opposed to before 15 minutes, you might get 2 if you're lucky. So
Wow.
I think that's one of the things that they want to make sure before they implement it, that they have nailed down. Now, as far as drifting, I'm not the biggest drifter. Boss Lethal Papa will probably be the better one on this, because he definitely beats me on that. But when it comes to the drifting aspect, I think it's something that they want to make sure that they have the right cars, and not just the ones that you can set up yourself. But I envision what they're going to do, since this is going to be an ongoing game, unlike the previous ones where it's like 2 years later you expect the next number title. I think they're going to constantly add, like every quarter or every year, new modes, new car groups, or new car sets and things. And we'll probably see like the Formula Drift cars. We'll probably see a lot more of the ones that you actually see at drift events added to the game, and then that
Right.
mode will be fully functional. So
Oh,
I
so they confirmed this is going to be a full service game, pretty much, or
yeah, they talked about this early on, where the reason why it's taken so long for this, they were basically building everything from the ground up, but they wanted to make sure that everything that they continue to add is going to pretty much extend the life of the game. Now,
Yes.
I'm curious to see how this works with licensing, but I think considering how they worked out a recent deal with Alfa Romeo and Fiat and stuff, I think they're already pulling for like, hey, can we get this for 10 years instead of the normal 5 years or whatever the case may be? Because that was something that just barely missed the cutoff when Forza Horizon 5 came out. And it was kind of odd where, oh, wait, GT7 had it, and why isn't Horizon 5 had it? It's like new ownership. I think they wanted to lock down a deal that made sense for a game that you're going to support. You know, this comes out in 2023. They'll probably continue to support this until 2028 or maybe even 2033 or something along those lines. So
I would imagine that the next Motorsport could potentially be a launch title for the next generation of Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. So this game, while I'm not the happiest of the 20 tracks, but I do realize that they're going to be adding tracks. Like there's the initial cut, like those are going to be the all stars, and then they'll like, I don't know what the cadence is going to be, but if it's anything like what they've done in the past, when they added tracks before, it was like within 6 months. So I don't foresee this being an issue where it's like, oh, we have these 20 tracks and we only have these modes, and then 2 years later, hey, we didn't get anything added. Forza, if you look at Horizon, and even if you look at the previous roadmap for Motorsport 7, they're pretty good on a monthly basis and sometimes a weekly basis, adding new modes, new cars, driver suits for rivals, new cars for rivals, and things along those lines. So they've always been pretty good on their cadence, and at least in the past. And I think they've only gotten better as far as having more people at the disposal for the team to constantly just work on, oh, we're going to do new cars from Italy this month. We're going to do new cars from Germany next month. We're going to do new tracks and stuff like that. So I don't have the worry or concern. I know there was a time before they announced all of the tracks and cars, I was kind of like, is this going to be like 100 cars? Kind of like the way Motorsport 5 was, but no, they don't have all the cars they kind of left off with 7, but they focus more so on cars that you would see on track. So while some people enjoyed the limousine or, you know, the A-Team van, you may not see those at launch because they're not really race cars.
Well, the difference is this is Motorsport versus Horizon, where you would see something wacky on the track, like a tractor or something dumb like that. Yeah.
Right. So I don't have the concern, and I would hope that some of the things I've identified will put others' concerns, if they have any, at rest. Because once again, this is one of Microsoft's best teams as far as when it comes to content, when it comes to the delivery of the game. Like, yeah, do they sometimes make a misstep here and there as far as like, okay, they may break, you know, compatibility with this particular steering wheel, or they may break, you know, replayability or the replays that are recordable and stuff like that. But they're like, I would say within the month or before the following month, it's fixed. Usually it's fixed within a couple of days. GT7, on the other hand, they still don't have split screen fixed. Like I said earlier, second player is still at a disadvantage. They recently added the ability to buy cars, and it was almost, or sell cars, and that was almost a year later after they advertised that something that would be in the game at launch. And it seems like if you look at the patch notes for any time they add cars, it breaks replay cameras, it breaks lobbies, it breaks compatibility with certain steering wheels. So a lot of stuff, it's like they fix it and then they break it with the next update, and then they fix it and then break it again. So Polyphony, I've kind of lost hope with them because they're slow, and it sometimes seems like they're in over their head when it comes to content cadence. But when it comes to Turn 10, they're great when it comes to fixing issues. Playground games a little bit slower than them, but Turn 10 has always been great as far as fixing issues. And when it comes to content, both Playground games and Turn 10 have always been great, where, you know, you can expect things pretty much every month, whether it's 10 driver suits or 20 cars or whatever the case may be, you can pretty much count on them having constant content.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I am not concerned, and I'm not looking at this from an Xbox point of view. I'm looking at this as a person that actually plays games, that will sit down and put a significant amount of time into this game. I don't think this deserves a delay for the small usage. Now, again, some guy was a little upset in the chat, was like, "Oh no, but boom, it's split screen is important to me." I'm not saying it shouldn't be important to you. I'm saying that split screen on a racing game that's going to give you half of your TV is just it's just not used enough. And I know that they're going based on numbers. I mean, again, the game was already delayed once because they wanted to put polish on this. I think it's going to be probably the greatest looking racer, potentially handling racer ever. And that's, again, I think that these concerns are too small on the what you'll be getting in that final package. I just think you're getting so much, and really, that doesn't matter whether you're playing on Game Pass or you're buying it for $70. Whichever one you're doing, you're going to be getting your money's worth. The car list is going to be huge. The track list for someone like Fuzzy, who appreciates the more tracks, obviously more tracks are better. You're getting the cream of the crop of the 20. They're the best of the best of the best, sir, kind of tracks. And I think 20 to start is pretty damn good. But listen, the whole point of the conversation is not to be angry.
No,
that they're not going to have your mode. The point of the conversation is there's a lot of fake outrage, as there always is when it comes to Xbox. Anything Xbox does, whether Xbox could cure cancer tomorrow, and someone would say, "Well, why didn't you do it sooner?" That would be the truth of the matter is. So it's just funny that there are channels, there are media personalities that are looking at this and pointing. I think it's a lot of falsities being thrown around. That's just me. Real quick, let's get to a couple. We have another 901 the Gamer, who's been a channel member for 15 months, says, "Salute, boom, panel, mods, and chat. Salute to you as well, my brother. Thank you for supporting the channel. And of course, thank you so much for being here." Highlander 001 drops an additional, very generous $2 super chat and says, "Playing Baldur's Gate 3 on my ROG Ally. It plays great." That is dope. That game goes way over my mohawk. I'm going to try it. I'm going to give it the old college effort, and it looks so good. I don't know if I can get into a CRPG, man. I mean, I played D&D back in the days, like way back in the days, and I loved it. But I don't know, man. I got to see. I'll try it when it comes to Game Pass or when it launches on Xbox. Drawn TJ drops a very generous additional $5 super chat and says, "The AI in private lobby is a Forza Motorsport feature since Forza Motorsport 2. Yes. And obviously you can, they're going to continue that feature. You just won't be able to put the AI in there at launch. Again, I don't know. I don't use it. I've never used it. I know some people do. And if you're angry, write them an email. Just be polite about it. I don't know what to tell you. I want to move to the conversation that is, I think we're on the precipice of seeing Phil Spencer show us the man behind the mask. And what am I talking about, folks? Well, a story that comes the way of our good friends over at purexbox.com. It was written by Fraser Gilbert. It was dropped on Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And the lead title of this story is "Inside Developer Reveals Crazy Discussion with Phil Spencer Over a Particular Xbox Deal." And I would imagine that had to do with Limbo or Inside. And okay, so these games are old, obviously. They have done a lot since Limbo, even more so since Inside. Two outstanding games, literally masterpiece, masterclass games, without a doubt. As a matter of fact, Limbo was just added to Xbox Game Pass, which is pretty dope. So if you missed out on that gem, you can now go and play it. Well, I'm kind of wondering, folks, you look at Bethesda. They spent nearly $8 billion to only close that and come back under a year later and say they're buying ABK. That should be done this week. And again, folks, get ready for breaking news. Whenever that news drops, I am going live. And of course, if I have another show in the afternoon, we will be talking about that as well. But I am all ready to rock and roll. And when the CMA decides to do what they should have did from the beginning. But gentlemen, I want to read a couple of quotes here. And obviously, this is brought to us by again, purexbox.com. And let's see. Now, the head of the inside developer is the one that had this conversation. I'm actually not even sure how Playdead, the co-founder Dino Patti, got into this conversation. It's pretty interesting, but I kind of want to read what he and Phil Spencer had to say. But I want to switch it over. Is this comment from Phil Spencer, who at the time had power, but not the same power he has now? Are we on the cusp of seeing Matt Booty's opinion, which we heard about during the trial or the hearing with the FTC, that they want to outspend Sony out of business? They want to spend Sony out of business. And obviously, a lot of us thought Matt Booty, like, he's quiet, meek, you don't really hear him. That dude's a tiger, man. You know what I'm saying? So we'll get to that in a second. But let me read the quotes here. Again, this is according to Patti, who, of course, is the co-founder of Playdead Studios. He says, I don't know if he got wind of it somehow. I was sitting one night at about 8 o'clock in my sweatpants, and then my phone rings, displaying an American number, and it's Phil Spencer from Microsoft. It was crazy. And Phil Spencer says to him, listen, we need to make a deal with you. What do you want? And he replied, well, we've actually made it already okay deal. And Phil Spencer says to him, no. You don't understand what I'm saying. I could make anything happen. What do you want? And that, to me, okay, now again, this is Inside is a couple of years old, and Limbo is even older. But now that Phil Spencer, Fuzzy, has this title of head of Microsoft Gaming, right? It's a monster title. He holds it well. He will have on his resume that he closed Bethesda, he closed ABK. I don't know what else they go in after that. I don't know how much time we have left with Phil Spencer. I still believe that we got at least 5 years, left of Phil Spencer. I think that in those 5 years, Sarah Bond is going to grow in her position. I think she is ultimately going to take over for Phil, which I think would be fan-freaking-tastic. But are we witnessing Darth Phil? Right? Like, people talk about that all the time. Obviously King David talks about Darth Phil in jest, and he's not going to become this maniac. But I think that my question to you is this the new Xbox? Because obviously PlayStation is in first place. Nintendo is in a rock solid second place, and they're happy there because they're still selling tons of consoles and tons of games.
Yeah.
Microsoft is sitting in third. And Microsoft, yes, they're going to close ABK. Yes, Call of Duty is going to be first party. Yes, they're going to have King, and they're going to have all of Blizzard. But I think that we might be seeing a turn for Xbox where content is key. They're going to have a lot of their own content. But I think people, after seeing some of the success that we've seen with games that dropped into Xbox, are going to want to seek out Xbox. But do we see Phil Spencer and team get aggressive meaning that they have all this first party. They have a ton of games in Xbox Game Pass. People, especially in the indie community, want to work with them. But do we see a vicious Microsoft or an Xbox go out and potentially money hat some stuff away from Sony? Does he earn the name Phil Spender?
I think he will. We've seen some evidence of this, especially in some of the court documents, as far as the more aggressive stance they've taken, especially considering, when Sony was looking to lock up Starfield, and he was like, "That's it, we got to buy Bethesda," kind of thing. And there were earlier signs where, for MLB The Show coming to Xbox, it's like, let's not just be okay with having it on the platform. Let's put it in Game Pass. Let's talk to the actual ML or the Major League Baseball themselves, since they're the license holder, and see if we can't work out a deal. And then the thing recently also with making Indiana Jones exclusive, there's slowly some I wouldn't say some breaks in the nice guy appearance or anything like that, but I think as much as Sony is kind of hemmed and hawed about this ABK deal, I think it's kind of changed the attitude towards the playing field. Like before, I think Phil would have been fine where, just them focusing on their piece of the pie. The gaming space is a big enough market where everybody can make money and be happy and profitable, and keep the lights on for the studios and things, and have a nice bonus at the end of the year. But I think Jim Ryan and Sony as a whole trying to, fly out there and convince these regulatory bodies that, oh, this is bad for gaming, this is going to hurt, blah, blah, blah. All of that I think is kind of gotten under his skin to some extent. And who wouldn't it bother at that point? It's like, you were going to play nice with these guys and share your toys, and he don't even want the toys. He threw it back in your face, and he's like, I just want to break all your toys, kind of thing, and be done with it. So I think at that point, he's kind of looked at it as, all right, maybe I should lean more into the business aspect of things, because obviously the guy over on the other side of the fence, he's not a gamer. He's not understanding, not necessarily the kumbaya, environment that he was trying to make, but make it where we all had our own segments that we could focus on and make money. He doesn't seem to care about that. So you know what? Let's go ahead and get things like Liza P or other games that are generated in or created in like the in the East, as far as whether it's from Japan or South Korea or even studios in China. Let's go ahead and work with them and beat Sony to the punch as far as getting those in Game Pass or getting those on 100%. Our platform. And I think we're going to probably find out that what is that? The Black Myth Wukong, since that's appearing at Gamescom, and Sony doesn't have a presence at Gamescom, I have a feeling that there might be a marketing deal from.
Yes, dude. Talk about it. Let's go.
So I think Phil is definitely looking like he's using his gamer eyes or his gamer knowledge to pick or cherry pick certain things that appeal to not only his customer base, but appeal to him as well, that kind of overlap, and focus on getting those deals for his base, getting those deals before the other guys do, because we all see when those other guys get a deal, it makes it hard to put it on the streaming service. It makes it hard to get the item on the other platform within 2 years. So we see him reaching out to Square Enix and things like that, where, we already know that we're getting Final Fantasy 14 now, and we're starting to see some Xbox advertisements with Final Fantasy 7 stuff showing.
Yeah, man, that was Xbox Brazil that did that. Yeah. We're talking about that tomorrow. Yes.
So there's signs that Phil is putting the gloves on. Like, everybody's asked him to, be more aggressive and more competitive, and he has his way of doing it. It's more behind the scenes. He's not going to be in your face talking about, I stole this from you, and then this is only for you. I mean, he did say, like, with the Bethesda thing, he got those games for us or for the Xbox community or for the Xbox customers. But I think there's more behind the scenes. Like the court documents showed, that he's now starting to play Sony's game behind the scenes, in the sense of going to these developers and say, hey, what will it take to get you on our platform? What will it take to get you day and date on Game Pass? we've seen that you've avoided our platform for umpteen years. What if we had it where we work with you in Game Pass, or maybe this game is early in development? What if we put you in like an early access, location on Xbox, where Steam is really the only other one that really does early access. But from a console standpoint, you don't really have early access on PlayStation. There are a few self-published type games that you can find in like a very small section that's not even really advertised on PlayStation, but early access is like a huge thing when it comes to Xbox, as far as bringing some of those PC games that you would never see on console for at least years and years on end. We can kind of get access to them a little bit earlier and help shape the creation of that game by feedback from the customers and stuff. But yeah, he's definitely stepping up things, but like not in front of the camera. So is he being Darth Phil or Phil Spender? I think so. We just may not see it until there's another acquisition and the regulatory bodies take him to court kind of thing. But he's definitely making moves and making deals with a lot of these
and rightfully
places
so.
and stuff. So yeah, it's great to see at this point. So yeah.
So Dave, I want to bring you in the conversation because you're our money guy, right? You know, obviously you're an Xbox fan first, like myself and several other people on the panel, as well as in the chat here. And that's nothing wrong with that. Enjoy your platform, but play other platforms. That's how I roll. I want to read the quotes that came out of the hearing, and it goes on to say this: that Matt Booty, who is in charge, who currently holds Phil Spencer's old position, encourages Xbox to make further acquisitions to bolster Game Pass and compete with Sony. And he goes on to say, we, Microsoft, are in a very unique position to be able to spend Sony out of business. And he wrote this in an email referencing the planned spending of $2 to $3 billion in 2020 to avoid competitors getting ahead. Now, this is Matt Booty. This is not Phil Spencer talking, but we're talking about Phil Spencer. My question to you is, Phil's a gentleman gamer, right? He presents himself in a proper manner. But we know that even though they're not going to spend Sony out of business, they want to give them a run for their money. So my question is, okay, this story or this conversation between Phil and the head of Playdead Studios is relatively old. Again, I don't know why it came up now, but here we are. We're talking about it. My question to you is: will we see the rise of Phil Spender? Do we think that he is going to get aggressive to kind of put the boot to the neck of Sony?
Well, I think his boss, Satya Nadella, said it very clear in an interview.
So if this is about competition, let us have competition.
So to do that, they're going to have to spend the money. And obviously, Satya is agreed and supports Phil and the rest of the Microsoft Xbox team, in buying ABK. And that's, like a $70 billion investment, which still leaves in the coffer, in cash, on hand, over $90 billion that they have that they can spend. And Phil is going to spend it wisely. And I really think that they are going to strategically reevaluate, and I already have, I'm sure, they're being aggressive in the market because of a lot of stuff that came out at the trial. Some stuff they probably already knew, but now that everybody else knows about it, and they're the fans of Xbox or that are back the ecosystem are expecting Microsoft to step up to the plate. We don't want a Microsoft and a Phil Spencer that's continuing to play the nice guy. I mean, he can still be nice about it, but it's time to completely even the playing field. If you really want to get that chunk from third place closer to first, you're going to have to play ball. And they realize that. And even with that discussion that he had with that one particular, game developer, I can guarantee you that it's not the only one. And we know for a fact, because it's shown, that Square Enix, they even got rid of their CEO and brought in a new CEO, and within less than a month,
Yep.
immediately embraced Microsoft and what goals that they're working to achieve. So, there's all the trips to Japan, all the trips to Europe. I think we're really going to start seeing these be rewarded. And GamesCon, I think, is really going to be another step. I really expect it to be almost like when we say E3, but an E3 like atmosphere as far
100%.
as the announcements we're going to have. Some of the because they're not done. Even Booty said, that there's a lot of games that are coming out this year that we still don't even know anything about.
Yep.
And that's very exciting to hear, because even if it's second tier, whatever, AAA, but it's just a matter of that they are working hard to earn our money, and that's what they should be doing. And I think that's what we're continuing to do. And now that they're going to have the ABK deal behind them, that's going to free up a lot of things that they couldn't do before. Like you've talked about before, big time. As soon as the string is done on that deal, they need to go buy up all these studios that are support studios, and that I guarantee you we're going to hear some of those, and we may not hear anything about them until later on, because we don't have to hear about them. They can make the deals and be done with them.
Yeah,
because
some of them are smaller. Like the one that you would probably hear about is IO Interactive. I didn't realize how big they were. They're pretty big, so they would be. It would go over the threshold.
But they're
I
not
don't
trading on the
necessarily-
marketplace either.
Yeah, that's right.
So that doesn't so the FTC wouldn't have any involvement in that. So that's a lot of things they can do that they've been waiting to do, and we know for a fact, and most likely it's one of the ones that came out in court of a publisher that they were going to go after before the ABK deal dropped in their lap, and they had to pivot to take care of ABK. And I have a feeling they're going to go right back to that. Now, some people say, "Oh, they're going to wait," and they may not. That may not happen overnight. But as far as getting it in the works and getting it hammered down to where they don't lose out on whether it's Square, Sega, or whoever, I think that they are really going to put themselves in a place where they can make those next steps and continue to grow, because they have the money to do it.
Yep.
And that's how you get out and be a big service company. And those numbers that are going to get to the $3 billion in Game Pass that Phil talked about. So a lot of people thought he was crazy. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's just see what happens next.
Yeah, I mean, I think their first big announcement in January of 24 is going to be another acquisition publisher, and I don't know if it's Sega, which I don't think they need to buy Sega. I like Everborn Saga's theory on that, but I can see them getting Square Enix, man. I mean, and that's gonna be if that's ever announced that Microsoft is acquiring Square Enix, if you have high blood pressure, you're dead, because you're gonna the salt that's gonna be flying in the streets is gonna be crazy.
And you know what, Boom? The
sir.
salt on that, you're talking. I get it. There's a lot of people like, let's get them just despite the Sony fans or whatever. The Square Enix, and I know they do have some negative things about some of the programmers or whatever, but Microsoft is the team that can go in and fix that.
Yeah.
And also Square Enix has so many big brands and is so big in the Asian market. That is going to be a virtual kicking the doors open to what they'll be able to do, and to the respect that they will instantly earn in Japan to help chip away at the leadership that Sony has in the market. And it is big. It is really a big thing. A lot of people are poo-pooing other things, but Kingdom Hearts is going to be big. They have the Dragon Quest / Dragon Warrior in the US, but that is in Japan. It's 10 times bigger than what Final Fantasy is in the States.
Indeed.
So, sorry.
No, it's good stuff. Listen, it's going to be It's gonna. I'll put it this way: at the end of the day, I don't make any money off of this, folks. I have some stock in Microsoft, sure, but I'm not buying the yacht anytime soon. I like Microsoft closing the gap because it makes them aggressive and it brings more content to Xbox Game Pass, which I pay for. And if I can get more for my money, it's always worth it. Real quick, we got Highlander 001 drops an additional $5 super chat and says, speaking of Forza, I play Forza 4 and 5. I used to play with a friend who was like his brother, and unfortunately he passed away, and I'm still racing his AI driver. Brothers, again, I don't know when he passed, but of course, condolences, because that sucks. But the fact that you're playing against his avatar is pretty cool. That's got to bring a smile to your face when you play Forza 4 or 5, and the fact that those you can still see that is pretty dope. Dark Winters, who's been a channel member for 6 months, says, how's it going, Boomin' Panel? Just got off work. Time for your show, brother. Well, thank you for the member chat. Thank you for being a supporter of the channel, and I hope that you enjoyed the conversation. Crazy Lou Gaming, let's get your hot take, and then we'll get everyone on out of here. Are we going to start to see a more aggressive Phil Spencer? Obviously, he when the ABK deal was announced, he was given the new title of head of Microsoft Gaming. Obviously, he works with a lot of people that know what they're doing. Phil has surrounded himself with some really powerful minded people, Sarah Bond being one of them, Matt Booty being another. And of course, there are a ton of unsung heroes that we don't hear about. Phil talks about them all the time, that there's a team behind him that works on these things. Are we going to see an aggressive Phil Spencer, knowing that, Sony, their way of doing it is shove it down your throat? And I'm not saying that that Phil and team need to be like that, but certainly more aggressive in getting games like Wukong. Now, again, I don't know for sure, but Dave brings up a great point that Sony is not going to be at that show, which of course is Gamescom, happening next in about a week. But you know who's going to be there? Xbox. And it just so happens that just the other day, Jeff Keighley on his opening night live, who's going to have a presence at Gamescom, has confirmed that Wukong, that game that we saw years ago, that's very Dark Souls inspired with the Monkey King, is going to be there. That could be, I mean, I'm not suggesting that it's going to be an exclusive, but it could be for sure. Do you expect a more aggressive Phil Spencer is my question.
Oh, heck yes, I do expect a more aggressive Phil Spencer. Why not? I mean, after everything they went through, especially with this deal, he has to get even more aggressive than he has been. I mean, seriously, he needs to put on the gloves. He needs to get into this fight. He needs to get, even though we don't look at console sales, but he needs to get that console, start selling. He needs to get that Game Pass up and at him. He needs to get that name Xbox everywhere it needs to be. I mean, we're already seeing even though the ABK deal has not closed, but we already seen some marketing. I don't know if it's real. I don't know yet, but I've seen pictures that with Overwatch, we see Xbox. With Call of Duty, we see Xbox. With, I think we saw it with Diablo, didn't we? They were showing Xbox with Diablo. I mean, they need to get more aggressive. And man, I hope Phil Spencer does get super duper aggressive. I'm telling y'all, and I have this feeling, right? Remember, I called this on the shelf. He had Alan Wake. I'm telling you, I have this feeling that we will see Alan Wake 2 on Game Pass. I had this feeling, that we probably might see it on there because it was on his shelf. So cross fingers. I hope I get it right. But yeah, you probably might see that on there. And that's one of the big games that is coming out, and that's another thing. And I'm happy that he's jumping onto this. I'm happy that he's sitting down with Square. I'm happy that he's sitting down with everybody and trying to find all these great games to bring to us on Game Pass, especially the ones that, like I said, we pay each and every month and happy to pay it. Bring us all those great games. And yeah, get into this competition. Let's fight. Let's get into this. Let's get it aggressive. So that way Sony, in a matter of time, can change their methods too. Because, hey, why not? We would love Sony to change their methods on how they do things. Why not? And we would love to see also Nintendo change their methods. Why not? We would love to see that. And if Xbox could get into that, and bring that aggression out there, man, we will see a lot of changes in the video game industry in the near future. We will. So yes, Phil, get aggressive. Let's get all those third-party games that you've been doing on Game Pass. Let's get aggressive, man. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm super happy that he's been, with his gloves on lately, Square and all that stuff. Super awesome.
Well, yeah, folks, we just had some breaking news. K.O. Walker, good friend of the channel, just dropped something into my DM. We're not going to talk about it now. I'm going to move this this breaking news to tomorrow. Now this comes from Steven Totillo of Axios. You know who Axios is, or Steven Totillo. You know that they're a big gaming media website. According to Steven, he's got a scoop here. The mystery partner who walked away from the $2 billion deal with Embracer Group, who obviously owns Tomb Raider, Lord of the Rings, and now Saints Row as well. And I got concerned because I honestly thought it was Microsoft that walked away from the deal because of ABK. It turns out that's not in fact the case. It has been confirmed, according to Steven Totillo, that it was the Saudi Arabia government-funded Savvy Games Group that walked away from this $2 billion deal with Embracer Group. And he said big implications for both parties. If you want to read it, we're going to talk about it tomorrow because I'm still of the mind that as soon as ABK is signed and the ink is dry, I think Microsoft is calling Embracer Group and they're going to acquire both Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics. I think they absolutely have to. Not they shouldn't even. I mean, of course they should want to, but they absolutely have to acquire those two studios so something like the Killer Instinct scenario doesn't happen again. Because both these studios are working on first-party monster AAA first-party IP in Perfect Dark and Fable, and if they were to get, let's say, snatched up by Saudi Arabia or potentially some other Tencent, for instance, Microsoft might find themselves in a pickle. So I think they should try to offer a significant amount of money to Embrace Group to get those studios, because I don't think they're coming with IP. At least I don't think so. I think they would just be going for the studios. I think they should get them in there along with a ton of others. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this week's new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special. Let's get to the outros. And we start first with Fuzzy Belvedere. Brother, sell your brand. Tell everyone where they can check out the best place for anything and everything in racing, as well as where can people find you on social media.
Just want to start off by thanking you for having me on. It was great being on here with you guys and getting to talk about Forza for a good bit. Always love doing that. And thanks to everybody in the chat for checking us out. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on other social media platforms, Fuzzy Belvedere, just all one word. And you can also see me later on tonight on FSP on Fun Speculations channel at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time later on tonight. And then be right back here at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Double Barrel Gaming for Breakfast with Boom. Look forward to seeing you guys there.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you for being here. Web Dave, sell your brand. You dropped a new interview today. Obviously, Dusty is in the chat. You got a chance to go one-on-one with Dusty, get his background. That was great. Obviously, you had a great show yesterday.
Yes, we did.
People talking about that. You had a great co-host with you as we wait for Retry to return to podcasting. And he should be back and ready to rock and roll by next week. Not only on your show, but on mine as well. Sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, subscribe to your YouTube channel.
Thanks, buddy. Just drop the link to the YouTube channel. If you get a chance, jump over there and subscribe. We greatly appreciate that. And so Dusty's interview dropped today. It's a really good one. You find out a lot about him. He's a very interesting person. And he was, still is a dancer. And we got we chose some video on the episode as well as leave links to other dance things that he's done. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool guy. Pretty interesting. He's I think he's going to be a good asset to the community of gaming, and we wish him all the luck. And it's definitely find out more about him, find out where you can reach him by watching the interview. And then I just got a name drop again, man. But I interview this week the one and only Paris Lilly, and that interview is going to be up next Monday, and I'm so excited for it. God willing, everything works out. We're going to be interviewing that, and that is going to be a fun one.
That's a big one. Yeah. Paris, good dude, really good dude. Tells it like it is. Wears his opinion on his sleeve, and he's unapologetic about it. And I love that about him. But yeah, that's a big get, Dave. Congratulations. Paris Lilly is great to listen to, and you can find him on, of course, the Xcast each and every week when they have the show. And looking forward to this interview. See what makes him tick. And of course, last and no way least, Crazy Lou Gaming, brother. Sell your brand, tell everyone where they could reach out to you on social media, potentially see you singing in the shower, and more importantly, reach out to you on your obviously your YouTube channel and check out the Xbox International podcast each and every Wednesday.
All right. Hey, Mr. BoomStick, like always, thank you for having me on here with you guys, chilling with you all. It's always awesome. Hey, simple and easy. You can find me, Crazy Louie Gaming, on Twitter. Well, I don't know if it's called Twitter or X. I don't even know anymore. But hey, I'll still call it Twitter. You can find me on there saying good morning, doing all sorts of crazy stuff at the Xbox International Podcast, 7 p.m. ET Wednesdays, with Sour Blows, Silent Cypher, and the Big Plume on the YouTube channel. And sometimes I do Playing with Crazy, but yeah, lately I've been just busy remodeling. And last but not least, Xbox International Podcast en Español with Eternal Shaddai and ASCAP Gaming on Fridays on 7 p.m., which sometimes I join them, sometimes I don't. But hey, if you speak Spanish, go follow more.
See.
Well, definitely appreciate that. Appreciate you being here and being a part of the show each and every week as you are. And at least today you were late, but you weren't arrested. So that's super,
that's good.
Super important. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, a big shout out to over 600 people here. Stay tuned. We're on CMA Watch. That information should come down at some point this week. I don't know when. And when that drops, you would imagine that if it drops after 12 p.m., we'll be talking about it. If it drops early in the morning, like I expected to, either tomorrow or Wednesday, we will be covering it live here on a breaking news special. And of course, a big thank you to all of the incredible super chats that have super chats, as well as the channel memberships that continue to be added to Double Barrel Gaming. And we can't thank you enough for the support. And of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special.